The feeling of being fundamentally separate, standing just outside the brightly lit circle of conventional living, is not an accident of your personality. It is the signature frequency of a soul that has been circling the sun of existence for an extraordinarily long time. I want you to hold this idea close. That persistent low thrum of isolation you often feel, the sense that you are watching a play in which you already know the ending, is not evidence of a flaw in your design or a failure in your current relationships. It is instead the residue, the echo of countless journeys and untold experiences etched into your energetic blueprint. What if I unveiled the truth that the very loneliness you carry is not a burden to be cured, but a deep ancestral compass pointing toward profound self-recognition? I recognize the automatic skepticism already firing in the computational core of your mind. The logical modern voice is quick to label this deep well of introspection as social pathology, a simple case of maladjustment or generalized anxiety. But I'm telling you, with the verified insights gathered by the sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce, that we are dealing with something far more ancient and sacred. Why? The unmistakable mark of an old soul. Think of your current life as a single, short song. If you are an old soul, the instrument playing that song has previously been used to perform symphonies, operas, and sacred chants spanning thousands of years. How can that ancient, finely tuned instrument ever feel truly at home playing a simple, contemporary melody? It craves the vast harmony and complex structure of its full repertoire. Do you ever find yourself impatient with shallow exchanges, not because you are arrogant, but because your inner library is already overflowing with the lessons those conversations have yet to teach? This brings us to one of the deepest mysteries of the old soul: why those closest to you, your loved ones, your children, your closest companions, often seem to recognize this ancient wisdom in you before you consciously claim it for yourself. They perceive the gravity of your being, the inherent depth that your physical shell attempts to conceal. They see not merely the person of this decade, but the aggregate wisdom of millennia. They read the map on your face and know intuitively that you are not a tourist here, but a long-established resident. They don't analyze your words. They respond to the profound, resonant frequency of your energetic truth. It is almost as if your soul, upon meeting theirs, broadcasts a historical file, a silent recognition that says, "We have met before. I know the shape of your energy." This intuitive recognition is precisely why old souls often attract connections that feel immediate, profound, and utterly destined. Your task, as we begin to map these 7 signs, is to stop treating this feeling of deep separation as a defect. It is not an error, it is power. It is not social failure, it is spiritual history. We are about to look directly at the unmistakable signs that prove you carry the weight and wonder of epochs. Are you ready to stop apologizing for your depth and finally step into the identity your loved ones already see in you? The internal barrier, that highly effective filter designed to protect you from wishful thinking and unnecessary risk, is already buzzing. I can sense it, that pragmatic firewall erecting itself the moment we start discussing terms that sound perhaps too ethereal, too new age, or too much like escapist spirituality. Your logical processor, trained in the hard currency of physics and observable matter, wants to immediately categorize this information as mystical self-help and discard it before it can take root. But I invite you to make a crucial distinction, if only for the next few minutes. What we are exploring here is not theology. It is not dependent on adopting a new belief system, nor is it faith-based affirmation. This is about identifying a pattern. Edgar Cayce's work was the meticulous charting of thousands of individual histories, revealing consistent, undeniable energetic signatures that repeat across time and personality. It's a recurring sequence the scientific method simply hasn't developed the tools to quantify yet, but that does not render the pattern imaginary. We are looking at empirical data points of the soul. Think of your powerful analytical mind as a brilliant 2-dimensional map designed solely for the flat territory of the physical world. It guides you perfectly through traffic, taxes, and daily survival. But the old soul experience, the history we carry, is the mountain range, the atmosphere, and the deep ocean beneath that map. When you try to locate the mountain range using the 2D flat map, the map insists the mountain does not exist because its coordinate system cannot accommodate verticality or depth. Do you ever feel the profound frustration of knowing something deeply true, yet being unable to articulate it with conventional logic? That sensation is not delusion. It is your three-dimensional soul struggling against your two-dimensional safety mechanism. This deep internal resistance is often the first sign of an old soul experience, because your consciousness knows that embracing this depth will change the fundamental rules of the game you've been playing. The feeling of being profoundly misunderstood is not a psychological pathology that needs treatment, requiring you to force yourself into a standardized container, X. It is often the direct, palpable evidence of carrying the resonant wisdom from 1,000 years of accumulated awareness, Y. It is not social maladjustment. It is the friction created when a deeply resonant frequency interacts with a lower, faster, more chaotic one. When the radio dial of your soul is tuned to the eternal, the static of the present moment can seem overwhelming, and your mind's first impulse is to turn the radio off entirely. We are setting aside the fear of being labeled too sensitive or too mystical and replacing it with the simple recognition of undeniable evidence, much of which your loved ones, operating instinctively outside of your own mental filters, have already observed. We are looking for the fingerprints of eternity on the glass of your daily life. The ultimate challenge is not to believe what I am saying, but to observe yourself and recognize the specific frequency Edgar Cayce identified. Are you willing to lower that pragmatic firewall just enough, long enough, to see the blueprint of your own history, and in doing so, finally claim the identity that has been waiting for you? Let us now turn to the very first, unmistakable sign that your inner clock runs on spiritual epochs, not fleeting moments. There is a common cultural trap. Spiritual truths, when spoken, are instantly categorized as either fleeting motivational fluff or heavy dogmatic religious decree. We are stepping far outside that dualistic cage. Let me be unequivocally clear. The powerful insights we are about to explore regarding the distinct signs of an old soul are not derived from feel-good philosophy, nor are they merely inherited New Age musings. They are rather the meticulous, data-driven conclusions drawn from a unique human instrument. Edgar Cayce. I know the calculating center of your mind requires a solid foundation, and this is where we lay the concrete. For nearly half a century, the man often referred to as the sleeping prophet entered a self-induced trance state and provided over 14,306 documented readings. Think of this process not as fuzzy prophecy, but as systematic, transcendental surveying. While his physical body lay still, his consciousness traveled across the dimensional boundaries of time and space, charting the deep currents of personal history for thousands of individuals. These weren't scattered, singular anecdotes or religious pronouncements. They represent a systematic, cohesive mapping of the soul's continuous journey across thousands of years. Cayce didn't merely hypothesize about reincarnation. He mapped it with the staggering precision of a celestial cartographer. I call his body of work the original Google Maps of the soul. For us to it details not just the destinations, but the precise chronological routes, the spiritual detours, and the recurring relationships that define your current incarnation. The part of your brain that insists on tangible proof and standard scientific method might try to dismiss this staggering volume of evidence as impossible correlation. It might whisper that historical coincidence is simply being dressed up in spiritual attire. But I must press you on your own inner experience. When you feel that profound, sometimes painful connection to a distant time period, a culture you never studied, or a specific ancient landscape, is that merely random luck or sentimental attachment? No, my friend, that sensation is not simple, fleeting déjà vu, the neurological hiccup most people dismiss. It is your soul's structural memory, recognizing the geographical and historical coordinates on its own internal map, Y. We use Cayce's established framework, this immense library of documented journeys, not to romanticize the past, but to gain the radical clarity needed to navigate the present. Every single recurring pattern in your relationships, every innate talent you possess that feels unearned, every illogical fear that cripples your action was logged and cross-referenced in those readings. They confirm that you are not a blank slate, awaiting instruction, but a complex historical manuscript rich with accumulated wisdom. By truly recognizing the 7 powerful signatures Cayce identified, we move beyond merely guessing at our purpose and begin to embody it. This methodology allows us to see the old soul not as an abstract philosophical ideal, but as a verifiable energetic reality with 7 specific, undeniable characteristics. Are you ready to stop simply reading the history of others and start living the final victorious chapter of your own soul's narrative? Let us now unlock the vault and turn our attention to the very first unmistakable sign that your inner clock runs on spiritual epochs, not fleeting moments. We stand now at the threshold of revelation, but before we analyze the 7 specific codes the universe uses to identify a mature spirit, we must first shatter the most pervasive misconception about what it means to carry spiritual seniority. The core rule, the master key that Edgar Cayce transmitted repeatedly throughout his readings, is this: the old soul is not simply older, it is profoundly integrated. I know the immediate resistance forming in the pragmatic corner of your consciousness. Your logical mind demands linear chronology. It wants to prove seniority with a birth certificate stretching back 10,000 years. But the spiritual realm operates under a different physics. Your soul is not necessarily more antique than the one next to you, yet it has achieved a state of energetic synthesis. It has taken the raw, chaotic data of countless incarnations and woven it into a cohesive, high-frequency signal. It is not age, X. It is integration, Y. Think of it not as a rusty, ancient clock, but as a diamond that has been subjected to intense, continuous pressure until its structure is perfectly coherent and radiating pure light. This integrated state generates a unique and powerful frequency. This is the unseen mechanism that dictates your current relationships. Have you ever felt that palpable energetic shift when certain people enter your orbit? A feeling of instant belonging or, conversely, an overwhelming sense of immediate, inexplicable friction? That sensation is not merely personality dynamics or social chemistry. It is the universal law of attraction and repulsion reacting to your soul's specific resonant tone. Cayce made it clear: you carry a signature that attracts like a magnet those who have traveled with you across other planes of existence. They are the ones who recognize you first, before you even open your mouth. They don't register your fleeting physical appearance or your professional title. They register the sound of your soul's song, a familiar ancient melody they have danced to countless times before. This is why a brand new connection can feel startlingly intimate, bypassing all the tedious steps of conventional courtship or friendship. It is not infatuation or coincidence, X. It is resonant memory firing instantaneously, Y. The same rule governs repulsion. Those you meet who instantly challenge or reject you are often those whose frequency in past lives tangled disastrously with yours, or perhaps they are those who are not yet prepared for the high vibrational standard of integration you now carry. This frequency acts as a cosmic filter, drawing forward the supportive players necessary for your current final acts and discreetly pushing away the unintegrated lessons you have already mastered. Do you ever feel an inexplicable urge to isolate yourself, not out of misanthropy, but out of a deep protective need to guard the purity of your internal signal? Understanding this master rule, that you are defined by the cohesion of your experience, not the length of time you spent acquiring it, is the only way to correctly interpret the 7 specific signs we are about to explore. We are looking for energetic signatures, not biographical facts. Are you ready to discover the undeniable physical proof that this integrated frequency is currently operating within your life, often manifesting in the quietest, most powerful ways? Let us now look into the first of these unmistakable 7 markers, a sign so obvious that most people dismiss it as simple anxiety, when in fact it is the sacred evidence of thousands of years of watching others struggle, the inherent sense of detachment. The inherent sense of detachment is often misdiagnosed. It is not the emotional desertion of the clinically cold, nor the simple defense mechanism of the deeply wounded, X. Instead, what you feel is a profound, almost constitutional separation, a sacred aloofness. Why? The pragmatic center of your brain, driven by the immediate need for social conformity, may label this feeling as apathy, social awkwardness, or even fear of deep commitment, but I assure you, the truth recorded in the energetic archives of the sleeping prophet is far more elegant. This detachment is the unavoidable consequence of a soul who has simply seen the play too many times. Think of yourself not as an actor on the stage of life, but as a seasoned architect standing beside the audience. You are watching the dramatic tension unfold, but you already know the foundational flaws in the set, the inevitable structural collapse of the plotline, and precisely where the main characters will make their predictable, costly mistakes. This understanding prevents you from fully investing your emotional capital into the fleeting drama. You possess an innate, frustrating clarity regarding impermanence. While others are convinced that their current crisis, a job change, a relationship fluctuation, a trivial social conflict, is the absolute center of the universe, you intuitively perceive the cyclical nature of the event. You see it for the energetic rehearsal that it is. Does this resonate with you? Do you frequently find yourself operating like an anthropologist, observing human behavior with a mixture of immense love and profound, unshakable distance? That sense is not a psychological flaw. It is the evidence of thousands of years spent processing the raw data of the human experience. Your soul has integrated the lessons so completely that the current incarnation is merely a refresher course. This detachment functions as a crucial energetic shield. It prevents the highly advanced soul from being dragged down into the low-frequency drama of others, conserving the immense spiritual energy required to navigate complex karmic cycles. If you were fully immersed in every petty conflict, you would never have the reserves necessary to complete your higher mission. You are not cold, you are simply managing your resources wisely, like a general who knows which skirmishes are worth fighting and which must be allowed to dissipate naturally. The mystery deepens when we consider the next crucial sign, one that arises directly from this witness consciousness. Because you are observing life from a slightly higher altitude, your vision is unclouded by the immediate emotional chaos. This clarity grants you an uncanny ability to perceive the true intentions hidden behind the smiling masks of those around you. When the old soul is present, they find themselves endowed with an almost X-ray vision for the integrity of others, often recognizing the signs of profound love and safety, or the red flags of deep betrayal, long before anyone else. This piercing clarity, a subtle but terrifying gift, is the second unmistakable marker that your frequency is exceptionally high. That piercing clarity, that ability to see the architectural truth behind the smiling masks of the world, comes at a high price, doesn't it? It is exhilarating to possess X-ray vision, but exhausting to maintain it in a world built on subtle, energetic static. Soon after these moments of acute perception, after recognizing profound love or the red flags of deep betrayal, you feel an overwhelming, almost magnetic pull towards silence. I recognize this sign well, for it is one of the most common requirements of the seasoned traveler, the profound, aching hunger for quiet spaces. Let me be precise about what this intense need for retreat signifies. This pervasive craving for solitude is not misanthropy, nor is it pathological social anxiety. It is the soul's highly sophisticated necessity to defragment its hard drive. Think of your entire being as an ancient, immensely complex computer, running millennia of operations simultaneously. When you engage with the dense, chaotic frequencies of the modern world, your energetic system accumulates fragments, bits of unresolved emotion, echoes of other people's anxieties and useless mental data. The old soul, operating on a higher bandwidth, cannot tolerate this clutter indefinitely. It demands silence to sort the signal from the noise, to integrate new lessons, and to purge the psychic residue. Do you find yourself physically resisting crowded rooms or conversations that lack depth, feeling a visceral ache until you can return to the sanctuary of your own silence? This periodic energetic cleansing is intimately tied to the next great marker of the ancient frequency, the sense of having already mastered the curriculum. You look around at the anxieties and cultural trends that grip others, the desperate chase for ephemeral status, the shock over recurring political dramas, and deep within you, there is no real surprise. You carry the strange, unsettling awareness of an anachronism. It is as if you are touring a museum whose layout you helped design, or watching a historical reenactment whose outcome you already know by heart. This is not simple jadedness or boredom. It is soul recognition. Cayce often referenced this sensation, describing it as the natural memory banks of the subconscious being triggered by current events. You may find yourself experiencing profound déjà vu, not just of a place or person, but of an entire era. That persistent sense of, "I have already navigated this emotional terrain," is the clear signature of a being who has traversed this particular valley many times before, gathering wisdom on the journey. Now let's explore the most public and perhaps most taxing aspect of carrying this ancient frequency. Your role as the unofficial peacekeeper, the silent sage of your immediate environment. You may not seek this role, but it is thrust upon you, isn't it? Who are the people in your life, friends, family, or even colleagues, who seem inevitably drawn to your orbit when chaos descends? They are the ones who come bearing burdens they cannot explain, seeking an energetic anchor they cannot name. You become the lighthouse in the storm, the one person whose mere presence seems to calm the churning waters of conflict and confusion. This ability to stabilize surrounding energy is not an active therapeutic skill, it is a passive radiation of profound embodied patience. The old soul understands instinctively that most current conflicts are merely echoes of ancient patterns. Because you have lived these scripts before, you do not panic when they reappear. And the people who recognize you first, your loved ones, they aren't attracted by your explicit advice initially. They are recognizing the energetic signature of safety. They seek the frequency that has proven itself stable across 1,000 years. Do you ever wonder why the youngest or the most emotionally vulnerable in your family instinctively turn to you, bypassing those who are ostensibly more successful or powerful? It is because beneath the surface drama, they are recognizing you, the stable point in their rapidly spinning world. This is not a burden to resent. It is the natural consequence of accumulated wisdom, drawing others to the undeniable authority of experience. We've explored how your accumulated wisdom acts as a gravitational force, drawing those in crisis toward your stability, creating an undeniable authority of experience. But there is a final, far deeper dimension to this recognition, one that fundamentally transforms your relationship with your own history and your place within the circle of your dearest loved ones. I posit this truth. The ultimate acceptance you crave from your closest kin, your parents, your siblings, the partner whose soul seems knitted to yours, is not contingent upon your worldly achievements or your current behaviors. Their recognition of you as an old soul transcends the mask of this lifetime. This is not mere biological affection based on shared genetics, childhood memory, or convenience, X. This is the profound, spiritual acknowledgement of the old friend, Y. Think of the current life as a temporary, heavy, and elaborate costume of personality you are wearing. Your immediate loved ones, the specific souls whose destinies are intentionally interwoven with yours across epochs, are the only ones close enough to truly smell the unique, enduring scent of your spirit signature beneath the fabric. They are not seeing the current, transient scribble on the chalkboard of this life. They are seeing the ancient, indelible etching of your enduring identity. This familiarity is the secret language of your soul group. Have you ever noticed that despite years of evolution and growth, a parent or long-term partner will occasionally look at you with an expression of utterly familiar relief, an unspoken sigh, as if they are finally seeing someone they have known for thousands of years? Does their immediate intuitive trust in your counsel, especially during extreme emotional vulnerability, feel profoundly disproportionate to your actual age or social standing? That inexplicable depth of connection is often the spiritual echo of past shared lives reverberating in the present moment, a high-frequency acknowledgement that Cayce documented extensively when discussing the persistence of soul groupings. Cayce referred to the family unit as the spiritual laboratory, a temporary crucible where ancient energetic agreements are resolved. When an old soul incarnates into such a grouping, Their role isn't merely biological, it is that of a familiar anchor, a spiritual constant whose accumulated wisdom resonates across the collective history. When they recognize you, the deep-seated fear you hold about being profoundly different, the persistent gnawing suspicion that you don't quite belong in this contemporary world, begins to melt away. That terrifying isolation is replaced by a profound, almost boring sense of belonging, because they are affirming the history of your spirit, not just the transient facts of your biography. You stop being the confusing, eccentric relative who never quite fits the mold, and you become the established, accepted elder of the lineage. This recognition is your ultimate spiritual mirror. It allows you to finally accept the full depth of who you are, precisely because the people who have known you across the longest span of time are confirming it for you now. This acceptance is your final invitation to shed the burden of proving your worth and to step fully into the comforting knowledge that the oldest, truest parts of your soul are already profoundly known and loved. It is time to stop hiding the wisdom they are already honoring. The greatest confirmation of your eternal nature is not found in ancient scrolls or celestial charts. It is reflected, precisely and painfully, in the eyes of the person closest to you, the one who shares your bed, your struggle, or your immediate space. You have spent this journey identifying the signs within yourself, but now I must show you how to read the indelible ink of your past written upon the very people you have chosen to walk alongside you in this life. What if I told you that the immense, often confounding chemistry you share with a select few is not an accident of proximity or modern dating logic, but the echoing signature of contracts signed millennia ago? I'm not speaking of merely recognizing a familiar face, X. I'm revealing the mechanism through which the universe binds the old soul to its most essential lessons, Y. Your rational mind, conditioned by the linearity of time, is already demanding empirical proof, arguing that love or fate is explanation enough. But fate is simply the name we give to the agreements our souls made before we were born. To truly integrate the knowledge of your ancient identity, you must practice the karmic mirror test. Tonight or the next moment you are in the quiet, reflective presence of the person whose energy you know best. Hold their gaze. Do not think of what they did last week or even last year. Look past the surface personality, past the roles they play, partner, friend, sibling, and ask with profound sincerity, what has this soul already done for me? The instruction here is critical. Do not force the answer. Do not attempt to access a historical database or try to recall a memory from this lifetime. You must allow the deep current of soul memory to bypass the choppy surface water of your active consciousness. The first flash of imagery, emotion, color, or scene that arrives unbidden, however illogical, however strange, is the answer. It is not hallucination or wishful thinking, X. It is the instantaneous projection of a shared past life scenario, Y. Perhaps you see them as a stern teacher, a loyal wartime companion, or even a rival who blocked your path to force a necessary detour. This raw, unedited image is the energetic truth of why this particular soul is present in your life now. They are not merely here to love you in the modern sense. They are here to complete the unfinished equation, to return the favor, or to finally resolve the deep, resonant tension left hanging from a previous iteration of existence. Do you see now that your most intimate connections carry a spiritual weight far heavier than you ever imagined? This practice is the most direct confirmation that your loved ones recognize your old soul status, because their subconscious mind is already reading the ledger. The images you receive are their soul's acknowledgement of your long-standing partnership in growth. By welcoming that strange, sudden image, even if it makes no immediate sense, you are stepping out of the small confines of a single lifetime and claiming the vast, multidimensional truth of who you are. The invitation then is simple. Stop viewing your dearest relationships as mere coincidence and start honoring them as sacred contracts waiting to be understood. Are you ready to stop loving based on convenience and start loving based on recognition? This entire journey, this deep resonance you have felt across the 7 signs we explored, was never designed to be filed away as fascinating intellectual data. If you have traveled this far with me, If your heart recognized the echoes of the old soul's journey within these truths documented by Cayce, then the energetic contract has already been renewed. Your receiver is fully tuned, and the subtle, constant frequency of your deeper self is no longer a whisper. It is demanding to be heard, and more importantly, demanding to be acted upon. Your pragmatic, logical mind, that faithful guardian built for the scarcity of the physical world, is likely already preparing its internal dismissal. It wants to categorize this spiritual recognition as beautiful but impractical, a nice piece of esoteric folklore to be safely forgotten when the routine of Monday morning arrives. It attempts to convince you that this stirring, this profound realization that you are not merely a product of this one lifetime, but a vast library of awareness, is just emotional exaggeration X. I tell you instead that it is the sacred, unmistakable sound of your true identity clearing its throat Y, demanding to step out of the shadows of anonymity. Are you going to silence the oldest voice you possess, simply to maintain a false sense of security? The evidence we discussed, the deep recognition shared between souls, is not just an abstract concept. It is the highest proof of your ancient lineage. Remember those individuals who recognized you instantly before you had achieved anything significant, before the world defined you? The ones who looked into your eyes and seemed to skip the entire awkward phase of getting to know a stranger? They were not seeing your immediate physical presence. They were seeing the light of the velo amigo, the old friend, the trusted ally from 10,000 lives past. That initial recognition, often startling and sometimes overwhelming, is the universe's most potent validator that you are carrying history far deeper than your birth certificate suggests. The time for intellectual observation is over. The moment of action is upon us, because knowledge unused is merely potential energy trapped within a closed system. We must transform this deeply personal revelation into a shared, potent reality. This message cannot be allowed to dissipate into the ether now that you have received it. If something deep within you was awakened by the recognition of these signs, then nurture that spark and let it ignite the path for others. Do not let this powerful, identity-affirming message die in the quiet confinement of your own consciousness. Like this message, share it with those you suspect are traveling on the same deep current, and most importantly, comment below with the specific code word, old friend, and tell us, who was the first person in this life who looked at you and seemed to recognize you before you had ever spoken a word? By naming them, you honor the sacred contract and solidify your own place in the lineage. Stop being the student of these hidden laws and step into your identity as the living architecture of them. Your soul is asking you to stop hiding your history and to start wearing your antiquity as the badge of honor it truly is. There is a lie you have carried for too long, the heavy internal whisper that tells you you are somehow behind, missing the critical instructions, or fundamentally lost in the complex architecture of this life. You have believed yourself to be perpetually seeking the path, desperately trying to catch up to some societal clock or spiritual deadline. The anxiety of feeling adrift, unmoored, and unable to settle has been misinterpreted as a fundamental failing of direction. But I must reveal a profound truth. The constant agonizing pull you feel is not the sensation of being lost. It is the overwhelming magnetic drag of the soul attempting to pull itself home, to return to the center of its own ancient gravity. This profound internal stress is not directional confusion, X. It is the vibrational recognition that the journey of thousands of years is culminating in the present moment, Y. Edgar Cayce consistently revealed that the confusion experienced by the old soul often stems from carrying too much baggage, not heavy emotions or moral failings, but the sheer weight of unintegrated wisdom, knowledge, and historical memories searching for a proper shelf. I know that the calculating, earthbound part of your mind is already translating this profound sensation into something manageable, perhaps dismissing it as simple nostalgia, existential angst, or a psychological yearning for simplicity. That practical voice, designed only to manage the material three dimensions, fundamentally misunderstands the physics of the spiritual plane. This powerful, undeniable resonance is not mere homesickness. It is the specific, unmistakable sound of your vibrational frequency matching the original blueprint of who you were always meant to be. It is the sound of energetic recollection. You, the old soul, are carrying the wisdom of epochs, not as theoretical concepts stored in a distant, dusty archive, but as dense, usable knowledge woven into the very fabric of your current experience. This knowledge often makes the current world feel thin, temporary, and slightly irritating, because your depth perception is calibrated for millennia, not decades. This realization shifts the entire focus of your quest. You are not tasked with finding a hidden truth outside yourself. You are tasked with simply revealing the truth that has always resided within. The millennia of history you carry are not a burden to be discarded. They are the fertile soil from which your highest purpose must now organically grow. Are you willing to stop treating your inner knowing as a mysterious foreign object or a sporadic muse, and start viewing it as the ultimate self-written instruction manual, fully detailed and ready for implementation? The ultimate sign, the culmination of all the characteristics we have explored, is the shift from seeking belonging to recognizing that you are the origin point of belonging for others. Stop being the student who is constantly consulting ancient maps written by others. It is time to recognize that you are the living architecture, the sacred text, and the fulfilled contract. Give yourself the supreme permission to cease the endless search for who you should be, and simply allow yourself to stand, fully illuminated, as the living history you already are. This journey isn't ending. It's becoming infinitely deeper and richer. Go home now. Be home now. Integrate the totality of yourself, for the world desperately needs the steady presence of the one who knows their lineage.